smooth transition between our normal discussion, the web link that we've brought up on the citation from Mr. Blackstone. I'd like to spend a few moments. I'd like to read this whole one-page section that really transcends the segue between Bible-thumping religious Christianity and the laws of nature. The laws of nature. Back when Blackstone wrote, around 1750 or so, part of his mission statement was to try to convince the American people to be good slaves under the Roman Empire model of government that they were perpetrating, they had been infected with. But over and above the Roman Empire model of government, England had the heritage of the common law. And so they had a closer bond with the laws of nature, and Mr. Blackstone actually gave some real interesting lip service to both the common law of England and these laws of nature. And this particular one-page document summarizes it quite nicely. If I might go ahead and do a quick read here, which proceeds as follows. As therefore, the Creator is a being not only of infinite power and wisdom, but also of infinite goodness, he has been pleased to contrive the constitution and frame of humanity, that we should want no other prompter to inquire after and pursue the rule of right, but only our self-love, that universal principle of action. And when he's talking about self-love there, that's not just greed, individual. That's in a larger context, I believe, of all of society and for what's best for society. His wording is kind of poor there, but I don't think it detracts from his main point. Continuing on, for he, God, has so intimately connected and so inseparably interwoven the laws of eternal justice with the happiness of each individual, that the latter, the laws of eternal justice, the happiness of each individual, the latter cannot be attained but by observing the former, the eternal laws of justice. And if the former be punctually obeyed, the eternal laws of justice, it cannot but induce the latter, which is the happiness of the individuals. Continuing on, in consequence of which mutual connection of justice and human facility, happiness is the definition of that facility word, in consequences of which mutual connection of justice and human facility, he has not perplexed the laws of nature with a multitude of abstract rules and precepts, referring merely to the fitness or unfitness of things, as some have vainly surmised, but he has graciously reduced the rule of obedience to this one paternal precept, that man should pursue his own true and substantial happiness in larger context. This is the foundation of what we call ethics or natural law. Continuing on. 4. The several articles into which it has been branched in our system, that's the common law of England, the several articles into which it is branched in our systems amount to no more than demonstrating that this or that action tends to man's real happiness, and therefore very justly concluding that the performance of it is part of the laws of nature, or, on the other hand, that this or that action is destructive of man's real happiness, and therefore the laws of nature forbid it. Okay? Continuing on. This law of nature, being coeval with mankind and dictated by God himself, is of course superior in obligation to any other. It is binding over all the globe, in all countries, at all times. No human laws are of any validity if contrary to this, and such of them as are valid derive all of their force and all of their authority mediately and immediately from this original, which is the eternal laws of justice and laws of nature. Yes. Yes. Moving on from there, these laws of nature override. Mr. Blackstone admitted that they override statutory codes and municipal judicial precedents, that they all must be held against a backdrop of natural laws of truth and justice. And so this is the basis, this is the very simplified basis for why we have the right to confront the de facto municipal government that is pursuing an agenda of evil. Whether or not the individual office holders know that they're involved in an evil conspiracy or not is irrelevant. Once we point out to them that they are in violation of the supreme laws of nature, the supreme laws of justice, they need to back off and abort whatever misguided agenda they're involved in, and they need to adjust their behavior accordingly. Otherwise, the people have the right to resist, the right and duty to resist with whatever force is necessary their evil agenda. So I hope that lays a foundation. And I'd like to take a moment to point out that these laws of nature, laws of truth and justice, secular humanists and atheists can identify with this. We don't have to drag in all the Bible thumping to tap into the laws of nature. We can just leave off that part in the Declaration of Independence where it sets the tone for the entire nation by referring to the laws of nature and of nature's God. People that are atheists or agnostics, they can just draw a line through that and nature's God part. We can rock and roll with them on just the laws of nature. We can deal with secular humanists with just referring to the laws of nature. Some of us prefer to go the more biblical route, but that's okay. We've got a bedrock, a foundation of principles that are firmly rooted in concepts of justice and natural law and keeping the peace, and that is why everything gets real simple here. And we're not going to take it anymore. These stupid-ass excuses that corrupted public servants are using for pursuing an evil agenda and enslaving us all, sorry, that ain't going to fly anymore. We're organizing posse comitatus in our own counties.